Welcome to Voyage Daily Tech, the most important news personalized for you every day, supported by Voyage.com.
After listening to today's news, you'll know first, Big Short investor Michael Burry's $1.1 billion bet against Nvidia and Palantir signals a potential AI bubble, triggering a global tech sell-off. We'll analyse why this wager is a turning point and how it could affect competitive dynamics in the semiconductor industry. Second, Xpeng's 3000 TOPS in-house AI chip powers its robotaxi pivot, directly challenging Tesla's dominance in autonomous vehicle and robotics technology. In this episode, we'll break down this critical leap in computing power and what it signals for the platform competition against Tesla and Nvidia. Third, Chinese EV makers capture 80% of Brazil's market with cheaper LFP batteries and a factory flip strategy taking over former Ford plants. So we'll discuss why this vertical integration strategy matters and what it means for the global expansion playbook of automakers outside US and European markets. Fourth, AI's Godfathers clash on extinction risks, while Godmother Fei-Fei champions a pragmatic path, highlighting data's role in the AI revolution. This discussion will reveal how her work on ImageNet connects to the larger trend in AI and what it means for the future of human-centered design. Fifth, the AI data center boom ignites a gold rush in industrial outdoor storage, a $200 billion real estate niche with soaring rents and limited supply. We'll examine how this infrastructure demand may impact real estate investment cycles and create new challenges for urban zoning policies. The man who famously predicted the 2008 financial crash is back, and he just placed a massive bet that the AI boom is about to go bust. Hedge fund investor Michael Burry, the inspiration for the film The Big Short, has put $1.1 billion on the line, betting against AI darlings Nvidia and Palantir. A while back, we broke down how Nvidia's $5 trillion ascent and the sprint to build headline-grabbing AI factories made it the center of gravity in this boom. Today, Burry is aiming right at that center. However, if you zoom out, you'll see another layer of strategy at play here. Burry isn't just making one bet, he's making two very different ones. The bearish case against Nvidia is all about hardware. As we've discussed before, this is where AMD and Intel are racing in with their own AI accelerators and where giants like Google and Amazon have been developing in-house chips to reduce dependence on a single supplier. It's a bet that we're at a cyclical peak. The bet against Palantir, however, is about its software and consulting business model. The question there is whether Palantir can scale its services fast enough to justify its massive valuation, especially with so much competition. He's attacking the AI boom from two completely different angles. The move sent immediate shockwaves through global markets, triggering a major tech sell-off over fears of an AI bubble. In Japan, tech investment giant SoftBank plunged more than 10%. In the US, Nvidia, a company recently valued at a staggering $5 trillion, dropped by close to 4%. The contagion spread across Asia, hitting giants like Samsung and the semiconductor maker TSMC. This isn't just a stock market dip for them, it's a potential threat to their entire national economic strategy. Countries like South Korea and Taiwan, and giants like Japan's SoftBank, have bet their futures on being essential hubs in the global AI and semiconductor supply chain. We recently highlighted South Korea's push for sovereign AI and that very public Nvidia-Samsung beer table handshake that symbolized a deeper partnership. Moves like today put real pressure on those national bets. South Korea, for example, has a $23 billion support package for its chip industry. When the US AI market sneezes, these export-focused economies risk catching a serious cold, exposing a major structural risk. This is the core conflict playing out right now, a battle between unprecedented hype and a legendary skeptic. On one side, you have deals like Amazon's $38 billion investment in OpenAI fueling the frenzy. On the other, you have Burry, who posted a cryptic message saying, "Sometimes we see bubbles. Sometimes there is something to do about it. Sometimes the only winning move is not to play." We recently walked through Jensen Huang's virtuous cycle narrative: more users, more profit, better models. Burry's short is a direct challenge to that self-reinforcing story. So, is this really a bubble like the ones we've seen before? Actually, it's complicated. The AI boom definitely has the same speculative fervor and rapid valuation growth as the dot-com bubble of the late 90s. But the key difference is that unlike many of those dot-com companies that had no real product, today's AI companies have tangible technology being used in healthcare, finance, and more. And unlike the 2008 crisis, which was fueled by debt, the AI boom is primarily funded by cash-rich tech companies. As we noted a while back, valuations are elevated but still well below dot-com extremes, which makes a copy-paste replay less likely. The IMF notes this makes a 2008-style systemic collapse less likely, but it doesn't mean a painful market correction can't happen. Burry's move gives voice to a growing fear among investors. One analyst called the tech rally a double-edged sword, vulnerable to a pullback the moment sentiment shifts. Another expert put it bluntly, spending within AI-focused firms has been really high, and for some companies they are not making enough money to justify the spending. We've already talked about those swelling AI budgets, especially for advisory, which hints at execution gaps beneath the headlines. The fatigue over AI hype is setting in, and investors are questioning the sustainability of these sky-high valuations. And that really high spending is what some analysts are calling the AI capital expenditure black hole. Think about it. SoftBank has a $100 billion vision fund pouring money into AI. But for many of these massive investments across the industry, the return on investment models and payback periods are not being made public. A few days ago, we mentioned the race to build national AI factories, even as the IEA projects data center electricity demand could double by 2030, raising the bar for what it takes to earn a real return. At what point does this spending spree become a huge liability if wildly profitable, widespread applications don't materialize soon? That's the core of the fear. The man who saw the last crash coming has now placed his billion-dollar bet. His wager is forcing the entire tech world to confront whether its biggest boom is actually its next bubble and whether the trillion-dollar replacement thesis we discussed can deliver cash flows fast enough to justify the burn. Speaking of the high-stakes competition around AI chips, one Chinese EV maker is making a bold move to get out from under Nvidia's shadow. A company that just last year said Robotaxis wouldn't be a real business for at least 5 years just announced it's launching a fleet of them next year. Chinese EV maker Xpeng is making a massive, aggressive pivot. They're not just dipping a toe in the water. They're launching 3 new robotaxi models with testing to begin in Chinese cities in 2026. Now, get this. Xpeng claims its new vehicles will have the highest in-car computing power in the world, a staggering 3,000 tops, all powered by their own self-developed Turing AI chips. To put that 3,000 tops figure in perspective, one of the most powerful chips on the market from the industry giant Nvidia, the Orin X, delivers about 254 tops. Xpeng is essentially putting the power of multiple high-end server chips into a single car. The significance of developing this chip in-house is that it reduces Xpeng's reliance on outside suppliers like Nvidia. This gives them greater control over their technology, potentially leading to faster innovation and lower costs down the road. It's a high-risk, high-reward strategy to build a competitive moat. So why the sudden 180? The company's own co-president went on the record admitting the tech is happening faster than we anticipated. He said the rapid AI developments give them the confidence that the industry is now near an inflection point for robotaxis. So the thing is that inflection point isn't just a feeling. It's backed by specific breakthroughs. Their new Turing chip architecture is powerful enough to run massive AI models with up to 30 billion parameters right inside the car. This is a huge leap, allowing for much more sophisticated and nuanced decision-making by the vehicle's AI. And this is also happening in a unique environment. Chinese cities like Guangzhou are creating what are called regulatory sandboxes. They've opened over 1,600 kilometers of public roads for testing and passed laws to speed up deployment. This government support is a massive accelerator that companies in the US and Europe just don't have. But that's not the whole picture. This isn't just about driverless cars. Xpeng is also beginning mass production of its own humanoid robot called Iron starting next year. And the most audacious claim of all comes from the CEO, Xiaopeng, who predicts that in the next 10 years, the company will sell more robots than it sells cars. And here's where it gets interesting, because it reveals a fascinating difference in strategy. We're seeing Tesla developing its Optimus robot to work on factory floors, performing complex physical labor, while at the same time, Xpeng is deploying its Iron robot, which stands at 5'8" and has over 60 joints into its showrooms as a tour guide and sales assistant. This suggests a more pragmatic, achievable first step. It's a tacit admission that creating a robot capable of complex physical tasks is still incredibly difficult, and a customer-facing role is a smarter way to get the technology out into the world and begin learning. This entire strategy puts Xpeng on a direct collision course with its key rival, Tesla, and Xpeng's leadership is no longer being quiet about it. The company's co-president just made a direct jab, stating that in some areas, like flying cars and humanoid robots, we probably started earlier than Tesla. He acknowledged that Tesla has done a better job at promoting its plans, but with this announcement, Xpeng is signaling it's done being the quiet developer. The company is now making a public and aggressive play to compete for the future of both autonomous vehicles and robotics. This isn't just a tech race, it's a valuation play. The electric vehicle market has brutal competition and razor-thin profit margins. By pushing into humanoid robots, AI chips, and even flying cars, Xpeng, much like Tesla, is trying to convince investors that it's not just a car company. It's a technology company, deserving of the massive valuations that firms like Nvidia command. It's a gamble to escape the grind of auto manufacturing and be valued on the promise of a sci-fi future. Xpeng's ambition is just one part of a much larger story, the explosive global expansion of Chinese automakers. And nowhere is that more visible right now than in Brazil. In South America's largest car market, a single country has captured more than 80% of all electric vehicle sales. This isn't a gradual shift, it's a lightning-fast takeover. The country is China, and its EV makers like BYD and Great Wall Motor are flooding the streets of Brazil. In 2024 alone, Brazil imported about 138,000 electric and hybrid vehicles from China. That's nearly 100,000 more than the year before. So how are they dominating so quickly? One key weapon is price. BYD's popular Dolphin Mini sells for about $22,000, a full $7,000 less than the cheapest comparable model from General Motors in Brazil. That price difference isn't magic. It's a result of a deliberate technological choice. Many Chinese EVs, including BYD's, use a different kind of battery chemistry called LFP, or lithium iron phosphate. Unlike the more common NMC batteries used by many Western automakers, which rely on expensive materials like cobalt and nickel, LFP batteries use abundant and cheaper iron. This makes them not only more affordable, but also safer and longer lasting, even if they offer slightly less range. After all, this innovation is key to creating what some call the good enough EV, perfect for new mass markets. But the real story goes deeper than just imports. Chinese automakers are physically taking over the manufacturing landscape. In a stunning move, BYD is building one of Latin America's largest EV plants on the exact site of a shuttered Ford facility. The new complex is expected to produce up to 300,000 cars a year. This isn't just about building a factory. It's a strategy experts call the factory flip. Instead of building from scratch, which is slow and expensive, they acquire defunct Western auto plants. This move is brilliant because it's faster, cheaper, and creates immediate local goodwill by reviving a dead factory and promising thousands of jobs. But if that was just the appetizer, the main course is just being served. BYD isn't just building cars in Brazil. They are controlling the entire process from the ground up. The company has already secured mining rights for lithium in Brazil's own Lithium Valley. They plan to mine the raw materials, process them, build the batteries, and assemble the cars, all within the same country. This is a level of vertical integration that Western automakers struggle to compete with. Meanwhile, Great Wall Motor has already begun production after acquiring a former Mercedes-Benz factory. This rapid influx has triggered alarms. One Brazilian union director warned the flood of vehicles is threatening our jobs and production in Brazil. And the concerns go beyond just job competition. This rapid expansion is also triggering a clash of cultures on the factory floor. In late 2024, Brazilian authorities uncovered what they called slavery-like conditions at a BYD construction site, where workers allegedly had their passports confiscated and wages withheld. This highlights a huge challenge for Brazil's powerful auto unions, which are caught between the threat of cheap imports and the very different labour practices of their new employers. The concern is so high that after dropping EV import tariffs in 2015, the Brazilian government is now scrambling to reimpose them, with duties scheduled to hit 35% by 2026. But here's the twist. This wasn't a surprise. Chinese automakers saw this coming. The tariffs are part of a predictable playbook. Their strategy was always to import first to build brand recognition and then pivot to local manufacturing just as the tariffs kick in. They essentially factored the tariffs into their long-term business plan. Blocked from the US market, Chinese automakers have pivoted to a new playbook. As one expert at the Center for Strategic and International Studies put it, the strategy is to be the first company to start selling EVs in new markets and to create the market from the ground up. This is long-term thinking, and it's changing the global auto industry on the ground in several emerging economies. From the factory floor in Brazil, we now pivot to the philosophical heart of the AI revolution, where the creators of this technology are publicly at odds over its future. The most unexpected headline in the AI world today has to be this. The so-called Godfathers of AI are being honoured together, and they are publicly split on whether their own creation will destroy humanity. This isn't just a friendly debate. One of the Godfathers, Dr. Geoffrey Hinton, has repeatedly warned that AI poses an extinction-level threat. But another, Dr. Jan LeCun, who is Meta's chief AI scientist, has publicly stated that these apocalyptic warnings are completely overblown. Now, for the first time, these titans are coming together in person to receive a top engineering prize. And caught in the middle of this ideological battle is the godmother of AI, Professor Fei-Fei. She is the only woman among the 7 pioneers being honoured, and she's taking a very different path. While the Godfathers argue about doomsday, Professor Lee says, both extreme rhetorics concern me. She is calling for a much more science-based, pragmatic method to discuss AI instead of what she calls the extreme rhetorics. So what does that actually mean in practice? Well, at Stanford's Institute for Human-Centered AI, which she co-directs, this pragmatic approach translates into real-world action. They focus on creating evidence-based AI policy, pushing for human oversight in all AI systems, and even running boot camps to educate policymakers. The goal is to ground the conversation in facts, not fear or hype. Professor Lee, whose work on the ImageNet project opened the floodgate of data-driven AI and taught computers how to see, says she has grown to accept the Godmother title. The importance of her ImageNet project really can't be overstated. You see, before ImageNet, AI models starved for high-quality data. Her project provided a massive, free, and meticulously labeled data set of over 14 million images. In 2012, a model called AlexNet used ImageNet to shatter records in image recognition, proving that deep learning worked on a massive scale. Many experts believe the creation of this dataset, not just new algorithms, was the true Big Bang moment for our current AI era. She notes that men are pretty easily called godfathers or founding fathers, and she accepted the name for the generations of girls to come. This entire group, including the founder of Nvidia, is being awarded the Queen Elizabeth Prize for Engineering, an honour previously given to the creator of the World Wide Web. But the award itself tells another story. The prize isn't just for the famous Godfather trio, it's for a new pantheon of 7 pioneers, and who is included tells us everything about how AI is really built. It recognises that AI isn't just about algorithms. It's also about hardware, honouring Jensen Huang from Nvidia, whose GPUs provide the raw computing power. And it's about data, which is why Fei-Fei is there for ImageNet. This award signals that true breakthroughs happen when algorithms, hardware, and data all come together. But the core conflict remains. As the architects of our AI future accept their awards, they are fundamentally divided. While 2 of AI's godfathers clash over a potential apocalypse, its godmother is steering the conversation back to science, arguing the next frontier isn't extinction, but empowering humans through creativity, design, and robotics. And this is the next great challenge, because making AI work in the physical world is incredibly difficult, far harder than just processing language. This is what experts call embodied AI, and it faces a huge hurdle called the grounding problem. How do you teach a robot to connect an abstract word like pick up the cup to the specific, precise physical actions required to do it in a messy, unpredictable room? It requires real-time spatial reasoning and adaptability that today's language models simply don't have. Solving this is the key to unlocking the future she envisions. Speaking of making I work in the physical world. All that computing power has to live somewhere, and that's creating a gold rush in a completely overlooked corner of the real estate market. A forgotten corner of the real estate market is now delivering double the rent growth and has half the vacancy rate of the entire bulk warehouse sector. It's not shiny office towers or high-tech factories. It's industrial outdoor storage, or IOS. We're talking about paved lots and gravel land where companies park construction equipment, vehicles, and containers, and it's suddenly one of the hottest assets in the country. The reason? A boom sparked by the rapid build-out of AI and quantum infrastructure. AI data centers have massive ongoing logistical needs. Think about it. They require fleets of high-density servers, advanced cooling systems, and huge backup power generators. All of this equipment needs to be stored, maintained, and constantly upgraded. It's a picks and shovels play, just like the dot-com boom needed a massive fiber optic network, and the scale is mind-boggling. Goldman Sachs research forecasts that data center power demand will jump 165% by 2030, mostly from AI. That means more physical infrastructure, and all that gear has to live somewhere. Developers are parking millions of dollars worth of generators, tractors, and other critical equipment on these sites as they race to build new data centers. This sector was once a mum and pop dominated market, but institutional money is now pouring in. Zenith IOS just formed a $700 million joint venture with investors advised by JP Morgan Asset Management. Blackstone is providing hundreds of millions in loans to major players in the space. And another firm, Altera IOS, just secured a fund with over $900 million in equity commitments. What we're witnessing is the rapid consolidation of a $200 billion market. For decades, these lots were owned by small, family-owned businesses. Now, these billion-dollar funds are aggressively acquiring thousands of properties because they see the unstoppable demand and the incredibly limited supply. The numbers are staggering. Since 2020, iOS rents have skyrocketed 123%. One CEO calls it the real estate hiding in plain sight, adding that the sector is bigger than self-storage, bigger than manufactured housing, and bigger than many other real estate categories that are already institutionally owned. This boom, however, brings both huge profits and comes with inherent risks. The demand is exploding, but the supply is being choked off. The single biggest risk is zoning. Municipalities are not approving new iOS sites. In fact, many are trying to reduce them because they don't generate significant jobs or higher taxes. And the issue goes even deeper. Local communities see these vast paved lots as environmental liabilities. The US Environmental Protection Agency points out that these sites can create massive stormwater runoff, washing pollutants into local waterways. They contribute to the urban heat island effect and carry the risk of soil contamination from leaks. We're seeing real pushback with residents in communities from Colorado to Tokyo organising to block these projects, citing everything from pollution to threats to local wildlife. This has created a high-stakes showdown. Massive tech-fueled demand is colliding with an incredibly land-constrained supply, sparking a gold rush on the real estate everyone else overlooked.
That's it for today on Voyage Daily Tech. Follow, share, and stay tuned for daily updates coming your way tomorrow.